Hi, my name is Annalise Monson. I'm a national finalist Miss Galaxy Australia 2023, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hello, everyone. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you. My special guest for today is Annalise Monson, who is a Miss Galaxy Australia National Finalist. Annalise, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Now, let me just read out your biography in case people have not heard of you before. So, Annalise is an Australian model and regional project innovation and support manager who grew up on a dairy farm. Despite facing obstacles, including a hidden disability called Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia syndrome, so POTS, Annalise is determined to make a difference in the agriculture industry. Her experience on the farm has helped her transition into her current role, where she helps implement projects and supports departments in need. She's passionate about improving the industry and has even started her own foundation, which aims to provide more opportunities and support for those in agriculture. As someone who understands the demands of the industry firsthand, Annalise is also a strong advocate for mental health support. Her platform seeks to break the stigma around seeking help and provide much needed resources for those who feed our country. Despite the challenges she faces, Annalise is proof that with determination and a willingness to help others, we can all make a positive impact. And you can follow her on Annalise Monson, which you can see beneath her name. But Annalise, I want to start by Tasmania. You're from Tasmania, and I think you are the first person I've interviewed from Tasmania. I hope I'm not wrong there. And having done like 300 something interviews, this is still a first. So, can you tell people a little bit about Tasmania? There might be some people from watching overseas and they have no idea, but tell people a bit about Tasmania.
Okay, so we are a little island at the bottom of Australia, and we are still classified as Australia. Although Woolworths did bring out a cake once and forgot to put Tasmania at the bottom. So that's why some people do argue we are Australian, but we are Australian.
Do you what is there anything that you get sick about us? I mean, it's funny you refer to she referred to me as a mainlander. I've never heard that because I never interviewed a Tasmanian. So you refer to everyone from the mainland as mainlanders. Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a Tassie thing. I'm not too sure how that started, but everyone basically says it. So you're a mainlander, and if you come to Tassie, you're a Tassie. But yeah.
Are there any misconceptions us mainlanders have about you guys that you just get really sick of? I feel it's like the whole New Zealand situation again, but you guys are actually part of Australia. You're not New Zealand. So are there any like
No,
weird misconceptions about you guys that we have?
there's a lot of derogatory comments about Tasmanians, but I won't go into that. But we definitely are Australian.
What's the best part about being from Tasmania? What are you most proud of being from Tassie?
I love being a country girl. I love being out of the city as much as I love going shopping, but I do have to travel a couple of hours to get to a really good shop. But I just love being a little bit isolated and having that opportunity to travel in like in less than an hour. I can go see snow. I can go to the beach. It's a bit of
Wow.
best of both worlds. Yeah.
So tell me more about that because I don't know exactly how rural you are, and I've never actually been to Tasmania, I'm ashamed to say. So whereabouts are you? And you just mentioned, you're an hour away from the snow, you're an hour away from the beach, which in Sydney we're definitely not. I mean, I'm maybe an hour from the beach, but it's like 3 hours to the snow, and the snow is only there obviously in winter.
Yeah.
But tell me more about where you're at. What's it like?
Yeah, so I'm part of Northern Tassie. So I'm actually right on the beach edge. So I can literally walk across the road and be right at the beach. But then I can drive to Cradle Mountain, which is like an hour or so away. And in the snow time, it's just beautiful. Oh, and we do
Is
have
it
waterfalls too. I almost forgot about that.
Tasmania is really beautiful, isn't it? That's what I've heard. It's like it's a lot of forests that are there that you
Yeah.
can go and see, and a lot of nature and things like that.
Yeah, you can go hiking, you can go skiing, you can go, even though I can't ski, I can toboggan, I can jump on one of those, and go swimming. So it's really diverse.
Wow. It sounds amazing. So the only drawback, I guess, is that you maybe feel a bit isolated from civilization from time to time.
Yes, but that's a really good sacrifice to live in an area where I live.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, when you visit like a big city like a Sydney or Melbourne or Gold Coast, or not that Gold Coast is that big, Brisbane, when you visit those large cities, is part of you immediately homesick for a bit of isolation, or is there something about city life that's exciting in a different way?
Honestly, it's actually a little bit scary because there's a lot going on. We classify here as busy, but I would not be able to drive in a city like Brisbane or Melbourne. It would be really scary, but I love it. I love a little bit of a change, but after about like a week, I'm ready to come home.
So what's a traffic jam for you like where you're at? I mean, you mentioned Melbourne. Melbourne traffic is I think the worst in the country. It's worse than Sydney. It can get proper gridlock there. So what's traffic for where you're at?
Depending on if you're in Hobart, it's pretty busy down there. Well, I classify it as busy, but Hobartians would not classify it as busy. Um, but probably like 100 meters worth of car lineup at the lights and just waiting there for a little bit. That's our traffic jam.
And now I see why you don't want to drive in Sydney or Melbourne. Have you ever tried that? Driving in a
I
major city like that?
No, I've been a passenger and that's all I will be. Maybe one day, but for now, I'll stick to the passenger seat.
That's probably a safe bet. Well, that's about Tasmania. I'm fascinated by that. I really need to go down and visit. But we're here to talk about pageantry. So why don't you tell the lovely people watching how you got involved in pageantry to begin with?
Well, pageantry actually last year was my first time I've ever competed in a big pageant, which was Miss Galaxy. So that was my first year last year. So this year will be my second year. I actually started competing in modeling competitions probably when I'd like to say I was 18. I can't remember at the top of my head. I'm now 24. And I was up against a lot of people who have been doing it for a while. So it was a bit
Mm.
scary going a bit older into it. Uh, but yes, I actually didn't have too much experience. I've done a lot of photo shoots and everything, but Miss Galaxy last year was my first big competition and I fell in love with it. Hence why I'm back this year.
How did you do last year?
Well, I actually was nervous the whole time. There was about 5 Tasmanians going over, so we like stuck together a little bit.
Oh,
But
wow. Okay.
yeah, so there was actually a few of us because usually
Mm.
there's not really many that travel over. But everyone was just so welcoming, and I made so many new friends, and like I warmed up to everyone, and it was like just I got nervous for no reason.
There would have been more. I didn't realize there were so many from Tasmania last year. There would have been more from Tasmania than from Canberra, which is a bit
Yeah, I think there
interesting.
was actually, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So Tasmania represent. How did you hear about pageantry in the first place? Was it through modelling?
Yeah, so through modeling, it was actually in 2000 in so it would have been 17. So it would have been when I first started modeling. I heard about Miss Galaxy Australia through social media and I actually did apply, but then I pulled out. I never actually ended up going. I paid my registration, but I didn't end up going. I thought last year, now it's my time. I'm gonna go try it. It's something I've always wanted to do. So
Mm. Why did you pull out? Did you just feel that you weren't ready for it?
yeah, and I was super young at the time, so I was a bit scared of flying over and competing for a week by myself. I guess it was just nerves at such a young age. I wish I could talk back to myself then and tell myself not to, but everything happens for a reason, and that just wasn't my time.
And how did you find it when you actually did compete last year? Were all those sort of fears that you had unfounded?
Yeah, definitely. I feel honestly, as cliche it is, I feel like a different person. I have
Mhm.
so much more confidence than I did before, and that's why I want to talk to my younger self. Like, oh, she'd be so proud of me now, and that's my main goal, honestly.
What is the sort of difference between your younger self and the woman you are now? So you mentioned you've been in modeling for about 6 years, which in modeling is a long time. Let's be
Mm,
honest. Maybe not in some other industries, but that's a long time. And then 18 to 24, everyone changes a lot during that time
yeah.
because you go from high school to the real world trying to find your way. So what's the difference between the you now and that younger you maybe going back 6 years ago?
So if you met me back then, I was such a anxious girl. I actually wouldn't even like to order my own order in restaurants. I'll be like, Mum, can you please order for me? And now I'm still reserved in some social settings, like big settings. That still makes me a bit anxious, but I'm much more confident in who I am. And I like to embrace my differences. Like back then, I used to always try and be a certain type, like the
Mm.
typical pageant girl. I thought there was a stereotype that I had to fit in, but that's not the case. I now embrace who I am and where I'm from, despite the challenges. I'm just proud of who I am now.
So were you dealing with, I don't want to say just to dismiss it, but were you dealing with being introverted and shy, or were you dealing more with anxiety, or was it both?
I think it was a bit of both. Coming from, so I grew up on a dairy farm,
Mm.
and it was an hour away from my local town, which was very small. And I actually didn't participate in many sports or anything growing up because it was such a long drive and
Yeah.
it was just out of the way, especially young. I couldn't drive. Um, so I feel like being so far away made me a little bit anxious about what I could do because I didn't know the rules of basketball, netball, or anything.
Mm.
So yeah.
No one really knows the rules of netball. I mean, I tried playing it. I've never had a whistle blow at me so much. But growing up on a dairy farm, so in terms of schooling, was there a local school nearby? Did you do some version of homeschooling?
Yeah, so I took a bus every morning and it took about, oh, I'd say an hour to
Oh
get to my
wow.
school. Yeah, so we had a primary school. They actually have quite a few schools in my old local town. It's such a great little community. They're really close as well. So it's just a bit of a drive, that's all.
So then growing up, you would have, I imagine, felt quite, I don't want to say isolated, but dairy farm and then having that small village community, or rural community, it then must be a really big jump when you go to somewhere like Sydney, especially. I mean, Galaxy was in Sydney last year and it is this year, and you guys were right near the Harbour Bridge, and that area is extremely busy. So, did you have a lot of experience or exposure to that sort of environment where you when you were growing up, that really busy city environment?
Luckily, I did. When I was in year eight, my family moved to New South Wales for I think it was about half a year. So I was still fairly young. I don't remember lots of it, but I was exposed to that big scenery. But obviously, we moved back because little is where we belong. So I had a little bit of experience. I knew what I was getting myself into. But as for Sydney, I haven't been to Sydney that often. So yeah, I was very excited to see everything, especially the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Everyone goes crazy about the Sydney
Yeah.
Harbour Bridge. Did you prefer looking at the Sydney Harbour Bridge or the Sydney Opera House?
No, a bit of both. I was honestly, I was a bit more keen to get to Luna Park for some fairy floss. So,
Come all the way over here to just
yeah.
just to get some fairy floss. What did you think about Luna Park?
Oh, it's incredible. One of my favorite photos that I got from Pageant Land last week, it was at Luna Park with my formal gown, and it's incredible. It's like a fairy tale in a way.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you're coming back for the second time. What are you most looking forward to, and how is the Annalise in 2023 different to the Annalise in 2022?
She is very much the same in organisation. I am addicted to Excel and plans and being organised to a T. That sometimes it's a little bit too much, but I like to go a little bit over the top. But I'm just so excited to see everyone. There's a few returning contestants from last year that I met, and they're honestly a second family to me. I'm so excited. And being still in Tasmania, I would have to get on a plane and go see them. So it's a good
Yeah.
opportunity to go see them. But I know there's a lot of new contestants as well. And I've seen them all on Instagram and Facebook, and we're already all chatting to each other. And it's just awesome. So I'm so excited to meet them.
So for pretend that some of those girls who are first timers or not that experienced, and let's say they're having some of that similar anxiety that you had the first time when the time that you pulled out, what advice would you give those first time competitors, being now the seasoned pageant veteran that you are?
I'm not quite that seasoned veteran yet, but I honestly, pageant's my life now. So I'm going to be a veteran one day. But I would say to them, don't doubt yourself. Like, I wish I knew there wasn't a stereotype of a pageant girl back then, and being you is what makes you stand out. So, even those jitters and everything, especially being scared to go there. I know some girls came by themselves, not knowing anybody.
Mm.
We are all welcoming. Like, we're there to meet you, make friends, build relationships, and that type of thing. So don't be scared to come. If you're about to drop out because you don't know anybody, don't. Definitely don't.
Send you a message and you can convince them otherwise by the sounds
Okay.
of it. Nicole has said, "Hey, can't wait to see you again and excited for AGP in May." Um, can you tell me more about, you said Excel, you mean Microsoft Excel? Can you
Yeah,
tell
I
me more
do.
about your Excel addiction? And you're not actually the first person who's told me she's addicted to spreadsheets, which I find
Oh,
a little
yes.
bit odd, but please explain your Excel addiction.
Whoever that was, I need to meet them because I need to have an in depth conversation about this. But just the joy of having everything. I'm a visual learner. I wish I knew
Mhm.
that in high school and whatnot, because just reading a textbook, I'm gonna wander off somewhere. I need visual. So if I can create something where I can add text, some formulas and pictures and print it all out and have it right in front of me, I'm so good to go. I'm excited and I can focus on what's going on, not what do I have to wear next? Oh, what's the schedule next? I love that. Oh, and and you can put a bunch of numbers in there, and Excel just automatically adds it up, so I don't need a calculator. So I love that too.
So it sounds like you are all good to go by the sounds of it. Sounds like you're super organized and everything's under control.
I'd like to hope so, yes, but I already know there's going to be something happening on Galaxy Week where I'm going to be a little bit stressed out, but that's okay. And I think that's going to come from I've got too many outfit options. Um, yeah, I thought I didn't have enough, but now I put it all on my Excel spreadsheet, and now I actually have too many outfits to pick from.
I don't know which one is bigger, your Excel spreadsheet or your suitcase. Like, I mean,
Actually,
how
yes.
big is this spreadsheet that we're talking about? It sounds like it's like multiple screens across.
I've got two screens at my work, and yep, it's perfect for it. I've got a few tabs on the file as well, but yeah, you're not wrong.
And are you going to be able to fit all of this in your suitcase on the way over? I mean, it's
Oh,
only a domestic flight, so you get like
that's
one
the
suitcase, don't
crazy
you?
thing. Yeah, so I get one suitcase and checked in baggage as well. So
Yeah.
I'm actually probably going to carry some of my outfits just because I'm always thinking about them. I have air tags for my suitcase so I'm always can see where it is because I'm always like, oh, I've lost it. Like, I'm an overthinker. And it's
Hmm.
okay to be that way sometimes because I'm just extra cautious. But last year I fitted everything into my suitcase, right? And I thought it was a big suitcase. And then I got there and I saw all the other girls' suitcases and they have these massive suitcases. I didn't realize I had a small suitcase. And then they were all like, how did you fit everything in there? And now I'm thinking of it. I don't know. I don't know if I can get this stuff home, honestly. I don't know how it's fitting. But I have a bigger
Yeah.
suitcase this year. So that should work.
It sounds like you are learning quickly and you're learning the ropes. I mean, how? have you doubled the outfits over last year? Is it a 50% growth? I mean, you would know it's in an Excel. I mean, you could do a formula, but I mean, how big is a suitcase we're talking about?
Oh, well, it's a little bit bigger. It's probably the same size, to be honest, but I have really good folding techniques thanks to TikTok. I actually used to be horrible at folding clothes, but then I watched a few tutorials and I'm actually pretty good at it now. And I use like the rolling technique instead of the folding technique.
You need to tell me more because I do obviously pack for pageants, and I often find, especially if I'm traveling overseas, it's okay on the way there, but once you've unpacked everything and then you accidentally buy stuff, and then you're trying to fit it in like the same clothes going into the same suitcase, but they fit on the way there, but for some reason they don't
They
fit
don't
on the
fit on
way
the way
back.
back.
Exactly. So share your wisdom. Give me some folding wisdom. But first off, how do you find folding stuff on TikTok? Did you go on TikTok and search for folding techniques?
I searched it for traveling hacks. And then it
Oh,
just came up with a bunch of videos. And then I ended up on pageant hacks. And then I ended up on hair hacks. Oh, I'm on TikTok way too much. But yeah, it's actually really handy. So if you're a new pageant girl, just type in pageant hacks. Yeah. And then I was stalking a bunch of the American
yeah.
tutorials. Oh, and their hair tutorials are incredible. I need to know what they use and bring it over here because obviously we can't buy some of the things they use.
Mm. But okay, so that's how you disappeared down the TikTok rabbit hole, and we've all been there, by the way. TikTok
Yeah.
is really good at giving you stuff, showing you stuff that you never knew you needed to know. So, can you share now share with your fellow contestants, if it's not giving away too much, your folding hacks? What have you learnt?
So don't fold it, just roll it. So if I had a t-shirt, I fold it half one way and then I fold it half the other way, and then I literally roll it like a sausage pretty much. And then you just slide them in like a sausage. So I pack like a sausage. That's the best explanation I could give.
Act like a sausage.
Pack like a sausage.
Do you have any issues with creasing then, though?
Take a steamer. Take a steamer. But sometimes I've actually forgotten a steamer, and some of the other pageant moms there actually saved my life. So thank you for that. But then if no one was there to help me, I would actually put it in the bathroom, and then when I'd shower, all the steam would go on it. If that
Yeah.
didn't work, I did resort to a hair straightener once. I'm not going to resort to that again.
That sounds like that could be potentially dangerous because there's
It could.
a temperature issue there, and some of the stuff that you wear is not so good with temperature. You sound like you're coming at this super organized. It sounds like if anyone was missing something or anyone had an issue, they should go to you. You'd be able to sort them out.
That's another thing I love about the galaxy system. Like, because we're all close, even though we're new to each other, we're always helping each other.
Mm,
Some girls would come into your room and you just do each other's hair if you're having trouble doing your hair or makeup or something like that, or you wanted a pep talk before interview, like we've got you. Like, no matter who you are, even if I don't know you, come to me, I'll help. I do not mind.
yeah, that's the best part about Galaxy. And speaking about Galaxy, if you were fortunate enough to have the crown placed on your head, we now know that internationals is going to be. It's in Florida, isn't it? I don't want to get that
Hmm.
wrong. It's in
No, you're
Florida,
right. Yeah, it is.
which is on the other side of the world, and
Yes.
Florida is a massive, massive city. So, how would you feel if you were lucky enough to have that crown placed on your head in a month's time?
I would be incredibly honored. Not even just to travel over there and see all their different cultures, because it is a culture shock going to a different country. Like, there's so many
Mm,
different things. But I'd be honored to represent not just my country, but also my state. Like you said, this is the first time you're potentially interviewing a Tasmanian. So I'd like to bring a bit more awareness to Tassie down here. Like, one of my outfits actually is designed by a Tasmanian. So I try to
nice.
keep a little piece of home. I just love to represent Australia.
I did want to ask you, getting ready for the pageant, obviously you said that you were relatively isolated compared to, let's say, someone living in Sydney or Melbourne where they can drive 20 minutes and there's fashion stores everywhere. Is there any challenges getting ready for a pageant given that you're in Tasmania in a fairly rural area?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I think not one of the best clothing shops. We have lots of nice little boutiques here. I love local boutiques. You find heaps of hidden gems, but I think like the biggest outlet is Cotton On. So as for
Okay.
pageant wear, no, I fall into another rabbit hole of just searching online. I could be up till midnight because I'm just obsessed with searching for outfits. Yeah, so online's my best friend, really. And our sponsor for Australia Galaxy Pageants, Showstoppers, they are a lifesaver. I tell you what, last year they saved my life, and this year they've saved my life again with my outfit needs.
Sounds like you might have a bit of an online shopping addiction going on there.
A little bit, but I'm so indecisive.
That's even
I'm
worse. That means
Yeah,
you buy
it's
everything.
horrible. That's why I feel bad for showstoppers. They're sending me options, and I'm like, I love this, 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 and this, but I don't know. But I love that also. But I like this part of that one. But I like that color. Yeah, it's horrible.
Now we know why. Now we know why you needed to level up your folding techniques. Is because you wanted to fit
Just
everything in your
everything.
suitcase. I mentioned before I've never actually been to Tasmania, and obviously being Tasmanian is important to who you are. Um,
Mhm.
if I wanted to go to Tasmania on a holiday, what would you recommend? I'm curious.
I would recommend either starting. I would actually recommend starting at Launceston. So I would
Okay.
personally fly into Launceston and hire a car. 100% hire a car because you can't get anywhere really in a taxi. So, in the northern part of Tassie where I am, we don't have Uber Eats. I think from Launceston to Hobart, there is Uber Eats, but in Northwest Tassie, there is no Uber Eats or really Uber. So
Yeah.
get a car and drive. You can literally drive around the whole state. So that's what I'll do. I'd go downwards to the bottom of Tassie, and then I'd go Hobart way, and then up the east coast, and then back to Launceston. That's what I would
How
do.
long? How long does it take to drive, like north to south or east to west?
So I'm northwest. So if I was driving to Launceston from here, it's about, well, with roadworks at the moment, it's a lot. We've got lots of roadworks, so probably at 2 hours. And if I'm
Wow.
going
Okay.
from here to Hobart, it's about 4 hours.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
not
so
too
it's not
bad.
too bad, no. But yeah, we have lots of roadworks at the moment, so it adds on like an extra hour.
How do you, as a pageant girl, survive without Uber Eats?
Honestly, I don't know. We do have menu log, which helps, but there's not really
Okay.
many
Yep.
options on there. And
Yep.
there's actually a local delivery service here too that aren't anywhere else. So they've actually saved our lives a little bit, especially when I'm craving like an ice cream and I don't want to go for a drive.
Please don't tell me you're one of those people who orders like a candy bar and then a delivery driver has to come just to deliver one candy bar or one ice block or a can of Coke. Have you ever done that?
I've done it once. Okay, I've done it once. So fun fact, I actually don't like water that much. I'm very much a sweet tooth, so I like a little bit of cordial or something like that in my water.
Mhm.
And we had no cordial, and we just had water, and I just couldn't do it. When I'm dehydrated, I love water, but I just couldn't do it. So I kind of ordered just one drink and a couple of cookies from Subway, and that was it.
Does the water, tap water, I don't know if you drunk any of the tap water whilst you were over here in Sydney, but does the tap water taste different in Tasmania? Because I know from going to Adelaide, the tap water there actually tastes quite hard. It's got like minerals in it or something, and it actually tastes quite different to the tap water in Sydney. Tap water in Tasmania, does it have any a different taste?
Yeah, 100%. I say this everywhere I go, and I don't even think it's just states. I think if I
It
went
could be
from where I am
cities.
and I went to Launceston or Hobart,
Yeah,
it's different everywhere. So I
yeah.
much prefer filtered water if I'm going to have water. But yeah, even in the mainland, it's definitely different.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. I don't know if you've ever been to Adelaide, but the water over there famously just tastes different. I wasn't a fan. I drank a glass of tap water there. I was like, oh, I think I might be just living off bottled water for a while. But you said that you grew up on a dairy farm, and I'm interested to know what that's like because I don't think I've interviewed people who've grown up on farms, but I don't think from Australia. And I'm just curious because we've got a couple of chickens out back, which kind of makes me feel all farmerish, if that's a word, looking after chickens and getting eggs and things like that. So what was it like? Can you explain to someone who has never seen like a farm or never been on a farm, what was it
Mhm.
like growing up on a dairy farm?
It has its pros and it has its cons. So think about waking up at like 3:30 to be at work by 4 a.m. to go into a dairy farm, milk cows, get the herd in, and then that take about 2 and a bit hours, and then go home for the middle of the day. And if you don't have like stuff to do during the day, like putting up fences, feeding hay bales, feeding calves, then you wait until the afternoon, so about probably 5 o'clock. Then you go
Yep.
back and do exactly again what you did in the morning for another 2 and a bit hours. Yeah, so milking cows doesn't stop. And that's where the mental stigma comes, where I want to raise awareness from, because even on public holidays, I worked a couple of Christmases just because the other workers were celebrating Christmas and I wanted
Mm.
to help out my family on the farm. So it doesn't stop. You can't stop milking cows.
It sounds like it. So tell me more about. I mean, you mentioned a couple of things. I read out your bio, and you've got a couple of advocacies. One is the mental health, particularly to do, as I understand it, in the agriculture or the agricultural industry or the more rural areas. So, what are some of the things? What are some of the particular challenges given the agricultural industry? Because mental health obviously is a challenge for a lot of people. But I have to imagine, given what you said, there are some particular challenges for mental health in the
Mm.
agricultural industry.
Yeah, so that's actually one of my main reasons why I've labeled my advocacy as agricultural mental awareness instead of just dairy farming mental awareness. There is
Mm,
so many hidden factors behind farming that no one really knows about. Like take example the floods and the fires in the
yeah.
mainland. I think it was a few years ago now, but all their crops were destroyed. So not even just cows, like crops, like
Mm,
actual live, like that. And not even that, their livestock as well. So like beef cattle,
yep.
everything was taken away from them, and there wasn't very too much support there. There was a little bit. There was a little bit on the news and that, but yeah, we can help you find resources, but are you okay? Like,
Mm,
do you need help? Like, what is there that's not offered? Um, it just takes one person to reach out to someone and say, "Yeah, I'm not okay," and that's okay. It's okay to not be okay, especially when you have so much stress going on. Because if they lost their crops and everything, that's their income, and these people have
yeah.
families.
Yeah.
It's not just them they're providing for.
Yeah, I think anyone watching from Australia would at least have an intellectual awareness of some of the issues because before COVID, I don't know if you can remember that far back. I don't really want. It seems like so long ago,
Don't think
but
about it. Yeah.
yeah, at least in Sydney we had massive bushfires. I remember I was trying to do interviews at the time, and the sky had turned blood red, and
Mm,
that completely burnt the land out. And if your crops got caught on that, as you said, it's not just a loss of income; it's loss of income like for a year
yeah.
because you could potentially be getting ready for that crop and you only grow one crop and it's wiped out. And then after that, we had once in a lifetime floods. Like it didn't stop raining for a month over here. And then a lot of the other crops got completely ruined because they started rotting.
Mm,
And they're in this part where they've worked a whole year for that crop and then they have to throw it away because it's just rotting.
yeah.
And then that's crops, not even talking about animals, where sometimes your animals are starving because it's a drought. And so you have to shoot them because
Mhm.
otherwise they're just going to starve to death.
And
So,
suffer. Yeah.
yeah. So, in terms of mental health, what sort of mental health support could be given to people like that when you probably live in quite an isolated area, such as yourself? And we talk about things like Lifeline and all like that all the time. And I volunteered Lifeline. That's absolutely great. Um, but is there something more that us Aussies could do in terms of mental health support for our farmers, for our agricultural workers?
Yeah. So even a part of that COVID topic that you brought up, people would get COVID and people only have like small crews. I'm using dairy farms as an example of this
Mm,
moment. If someone got COVID and now you have two people and you can't function a farm on two people, but you're going to have to do that, I feel like if there was a way that we could offer like a relief system, be like, here,
Mhm.
have some time off. Like, yes, farming is important, but like you taking care of yourself is also important, whether that be mental or physical. I
Mm,
really wish we could offer some relief system. And if not even that, just like, I'm here. Like, I'm a buddy. Like, we may not know
mm.
each other, but I get you. So I'm here. I just want to be able to offer help.
It's gotta be difficult though to I mean, think about trying to take time off. I mean, for people who work in a 9 to 5, you get annual paid leave, blah, 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 blah. You get sick leave. So if you're sick, you get paid a certain number of sick days per year. I mean, worked my own business since I was probably 18. So I've never taken a paid sick day. I don't know what that's like, but it's gotta be difficult. I mean, just to take a day off because cows aren't going to milk themselves. The
No.
chickens aren't going to, deliver the eggs themselves. So it's got to be really hard just to take any time off.
Yeah, it's really hard on that employee to do that. And then it's not even just the employee. Think of their families as well, their
Mm,
children. They'd be like, they need just as much as support too because they're going to
yeah.
suffer also.
So given that, I mean, farming is without farming, we're not going to be here. We won't have food. Let's put it that way. So
Yeah,
it's beyond important. It's necessary. It's not just important. It's
it's
necessary.
critical. Yeah.
Given how difficult it is, why would anyone go into it? I mean, it's gotta be if you go into it, you gotta love it, I gotta imagine, because it doesn't sound like it's not a cushy, easy job. You can coast and you can take a day
No.
off here or there, so why would you go into it?
Honestly, a lot of the dairy farms down here that I know of, it's family,
Yeah.
family generations. And actually, there's from the town I grew up in, there's actually not that many job opportunities. So sometimes you're stuck with no other option.
Mhm.
And it does have benefits. Sometimes you can get a farmhouse with that farm job, but then even that in itself is very isolating.
Yeah.
You live on the farm, you work on the farm, you're an hour and a half away from town. It's very isolating. So there's going to be more issues with even that. Like there's a lot of underlying issues that just need to be addressed in that situation.
And I guess it would be even more intimidating for a young person going
Oh,
into it, because when you're young, you want to socialize, and if you're completely isolated, you
yeah.
can't. So there
No.
has to be a lot of challenges with that as well.
Yeah, I remember growing up, if I wanted to stay at my friend's house, we'd have to organise it well in advance because I would have to organise how I'm going to actually get there. Most of
Mm,
the time, we'll just jump on their bus at the end of school. So the schooling systems are really great for that. Like they provided that opportunity there to meet other people. But yeah, being isolated away from everyone was definitely a challenge.
So tell me, I mean, I've never spoken to anyone about these challenges before. I mean, it's so obvious to me now thinking about it that there would be
Mm.
a lot of challenges just even taking a day off. But in terms of where you see yourself, regardless of the result of the pageant, how do you see your career progressing? Where would you like to go in the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Because you said you're 24 now.
Yeah.
So I got to imagine you've given some thought to where you want your career to go.
Well, at the moment, I work in front of a computer and I actually really enjoy it, hence where my love for Excel came from, because I'm always in front of that computer. But I want a life where I make an impact. I want to start my own organization. I have a down plan of things that I want to do. The only
Hmm.
issue right now with that is I've got way too many things I want to do and I'm just one person. So eventually, I want to grow my team who have the same beliefs as me
Hmm.
and make a difference, whether that be just Tasmania or all of Australia. Because at the end of the day, we're all united. We're all the same
Yeah.
country. We're all going to face the same issues, even though that some places we have different slangs and different
Yeah.
terminology. But yeah,
Yeah, no, it's friendly rivalry here in Australia. For anyone watching from overseas, we give each other a bit of a hard time, but it all
we
comes from
do.
love. But so tell me, you don't have to go into detail, but some of the plans that you have, because I'm interested to see if you could get some maybe of the Galaxy girls on board, helping you out, growing the team. I'm sure it must be early on, but what are some of the plans that you have in order to alleviate some of the issues that you just were discussing?
Yeah, so actually, I'd never even thought about that. So some of the maybe some of the Galaxy girls would be keen to get on board because that's the thing about Galaxy. We're all
Mm,
there pretty much to make a difference,
yeah,
whether that be within yourself or for someone else or an organization or an issue.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I actually might even look into that. That's actually such a great idea. Thank you. Um,
You're welcome.
yeah.
But it's just because, as an Australian, I mean, whether you're from Tassie, New South Wales, WA, whatever it is, I
Mm,
think as an Australian, we all inherently understand how important our farmers are. Even if we've never, I didn't grow up on a farm, never really
mm,
been to a proper farm, but you just inherently know when you're Australian, yeah, the, fruit, vegetables, meat, dairy, it's also
important.
integral to who we are. And
Yeah.
then, we're copying some of the problems with price increases because
Mm,
fuel has increased. And then, that impacts onto the cost of your broccoli or the cost of whatever
yep.
it is, the meat, the bottle of milk. I have always kind of felt that the farmers are just stuck in the middle because on one end you've got, as you mentioned, it's difficult to work, but on the other end, and I don't want to offend anyone who works for Woolworths or Coles or that, but it seems to me they're always trying to bargain the price down. Take dairy as an example. They often
Mhm.
advertise, oh, you can get the milk here for only $1 a bottle. And I'm like, okay, that's good for the end consumer, but I feel for the dairy farmer in between because
Yeah,
if the supermarket's charging less, I'm sure that the farmer themselves are getting paid less. And as you said, it's already a difficult job. So I got to think
exactly.
as Australians, we could come together and do something about that, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I remember when they first put milk prices up, and so many people were complaining. And it's
Mm,
actually not even the farmers' fault that that's happened.
yeah.
Um, COVID pretty much is a main cause of most of it because a lot of supplies stopped and sickness came about. So there was less product, but more demand because more people
Mm,
needed it. They're staying at home. Like, of course, you're going to
yeah.
need your food. You're going to need your milk. You're going to need all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I wish I'm sure there is a way that we could help that.
Yeah. Well, I think get some sort of plan together and see if you can get the Galaxy Girls involved because I think that's something that could make an amazing difference in this country.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
even if not that, even like a buddy system of some sort,
yeah,
for the family side of it too. I wish I had like a little big sister. So I had heaps of siblings growing up, right? But I wish I had that other person to look up to who was outside of my organization where I could get some inspiration from, be like, hey, if you can do it, I can do it. So even if
yeah,
I created like a hub, even with the Galaxy Girls and not even just the
yeah,
Galaxy Girls, if you're watching and you're not part of a system like Galaxy or a pageant, but you want to make a difference and you want to help out, like that's incredible. Like we can have a whole organization hub.
absolutely. Well, set
Yeah,
it up. There you go.
I'm
I
going
think that's
to
exciting,
definitely.
and
That's
I think that'd
awesome.
be that'd be something that would be really amazing to take overseas as well,
Oh
because
yeah.
you think about it, when people from overseas think about Australia, they think Crocodile Dundee and Vegemite, but beyond that, they have this image of, and I'm not exaggerating here. I've spoken to some Americans, bless you, Americans, I love you, but they ask me, "Oh, do you have kangaroos jumping down the road?" One of them thought, no exaggeration, we had
You're
a
riding to
lane on
school.
the harbour bridge dedicated to kangaroos.
Oh, what do you mean? Of
So
course we do. We definitely
don't
do.
don't make it worse, Annalise. But I think it would be so valuable and so amazing to be able to take some sort of advocacy to help
Yeah,
our agricultural industry overseas and say, yes, we do have a huge agricultural industry, and here's some of the issues that it's caused. Because I think that's very Aussie of us, isn't it? I don't think.
it very is. Yes.
Yeah, I don't.
That's
I don't think
awesome.
I've seen an advocacy like that before. Frankly, we talk a lot about mental health and things like that, but
Mhm.
specifically for the people who feed us,
Yeah.
which, as I said, farming is not important. It's necessary. It's
It's
a
a
level
critical
beyond that.
thing. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you like to eat, then hit up Annalise and get involved, because that's a whole pageant industry. It's like, yes, we love our food. We love, well,
We love our food, yes.
every food I feel they love is probably related quite closely to the dairy industry. Chocolate, you need
Oh,
milk.
yes, chocolate.
Ice
Yes.
cream, you need milk.
Coffee.
Cheese, pizza, you need the milk for the cheese.
Mhm.
Coffee. So, if you like to eat, then you help Annalise out.
Help me
Let's
out,
put it
please.
exactly. That's really exciting. The other thing that I wanted to ask you about, if you've wrote in your bio about postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I hope I'm saying that correctly,
You
or POTS
are.
for short.
You are,
It's
yes.
a lot of words that I know what postural means. Tachycardia is to do with your heart. Syndrome, I know what that
Mhm.
means. Orthostatic,
Bingo.
no idea. But let you tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when I was 16, I was actually growing up. I was a very healthy child. I'm still very healthy to this day. But all of a sudden, I started getting fainting episodes. The first time I fainted, I didn't know I fainted. I remember hitting something and my mum yelling at me in the background to be quiet because she thought I was just hitting something for the fun of it. She does feel very sorry for blaming me to this day. So it's okay, mum, if you're watching. Um, and then she finally actually believed me the day I fainted in a local Woolworths. Um, and that at that time we didn't know what was going on. Like, why am I having these issues? And then it actually didn't take it took quite a while to figure out what's going on. A few tests, a few doctors, a lot of doctors actually, and
Hmm.
then a doctor from Melbourne flew down. Hence, hello, not Tassie. So it's not even just opportunities, it's resources that we don't really have
Yeah.
here. Like, hey, you've got pots. I'm like, okay, what's that? And I was like, and then, yeah. So a lot of things that come with that is when I'm standing in one spot for a while, I will start to
Right.
get palpitations and kind of lose my balance. And then I can feel it coming on, which is, I'm grateful that I have that slight warning. Some
Yeah.
people do have service dogs for it because some people can't tell if they're about to pass out. So palpitations, brain fog, fatigue. Fatigue is a really big one. But over the past few years, I've been able to figure out how to manage that on my own so it doesn't stop me from doing Galaxy and in my everyday life. So I'm really blessed for that.
So I'm just looking at the name of the syndrome. So it's to do with when you're standing still.
Mhm. Bingo. Yeah. So one of the tests they use to determine POTS is actually they strap you to a table. So you're laying flat, and then they raise you, and you have to stay strapped to this table until they determine your heart, how your heart is reacting to that, basically.
Okay.
And that was actually quite traumatic. So I hope one day that we can find a way not to do that again. But yeah, so it's a bit difficult, especially the palpitations are probably one of my strongest symptoms, um, which also could be confused with anxiety as well. If
Mm,
you have, yeah,
yeah.
it's like kind of like that type of
Yeah.
feeling. My fainting episodes really haven't been such an issue in the past few years, so I'm very blessed for that also.
Mm. Well, pageantry is an interesting industry to go into if you have pots, then, by the sounds of it,
Yep.
because a lot of pageantry involves standing still, and that's
Yes.
but that's not. I've because I worked as a tennis coach, and I have to say, standing still is not good for anyone. I can walk and hike and whatever for hours, but
Yeah.
stand still for 20 minutes. There's something about it that's just not right. It really,
Yeah.
really hurts. It's really bad on your back. So when you say postural, so it's to do with your posture. Orthostatic, I'm just reading into it. Static, standing still, and then tachycardia, it affects your heart.
Yeah.
Um, Gee, that's got to be a difficult one to work around, and a scary one when it comes on, because it affects your heart. So as you said, you could feel like you're having some sort of panic attack, when in
Yeah.
reality, it's actually the POTS that's happening.
Exactly. Yeah. So mixing that with a bit of anxiety in pageantry is actually really
Yeah.
challenging. I've got to determine what's going on. Um, but thanks to like me figuring out how to manage it now, hopefully one day I can create. So this is where I'm indecisive. I want to also create another organization where it raises awareness. A lot of people don't even know what POTS is over here. I have noticed through TikTok that a lot of other countries do have lots of awareness on it
Mm.
and lots of people who do have it. So I want to bring that to Australia. So if I have to liaise with people from other countries, Galaxy is the
Mm.
perfect like platform where I can reach out to other people.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
do both. You don't have to be
Yes.
indecisive. Just do both. Do everything. But that would also, I mean, I'm just imagining if you were lucky enough to have the crown placed on your head, then you've got another really really strong thing that you can advocate for. So that's amazing. Have you given any thought to what the first things you would do if you do get the crown placed on your head in a week's time?
Yeah.
What are the first things you're going to do? Will you, I mean, immediately, will you cry? Will you laugh? And then after that, are we talking ice cream, chocolate? What's the plan here, Annalise?
All of those answers, honestly.
All of them. Okay.
I actually I haven't really won that many competitions that I have been in. I'm very much an underdog. I'm a huge advocate for an
Yeah.
underdog. Like, so I feel like I'd be in shock really. And I think I would cry and then I think I'd laugh and then my friends would probably tell me to stop crying because I'd be ruining my makeup. Yeah, I feel like it'd be all above. And I really, really want to do the sleeping photo, the typical sleeping photo
Yes.
when people get
Yes, I
crowned.
know.
Yeah,
Yes, with the crown and the sash,
I
and
want to do
the
that. Yes.
no one is ever actually sleeping in that photo when you
No.
think about it. No one is, because if they were, that's actually really creepy because you're taking a photo of
Yeah.
someone
Someone's
who's
sleeping.
sleeping. So you want that photo, do you? That iconic, oh look what I did. I won a crown, now I'm sleepy. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah, pretty much. But then also doing that, I feel like it's also another awesome platform to tell people who aren't in pageantry, it's not just a crown. Like, I'm going to do so much with this and
Mm.
I'm going to use this as my platform.
What do you think the reaction in your local community, in your friends group? I mean, you already said that you're fairly isolated. So when you come back swanning around, or if you come back with a giant crown on your head and you are representing all of Australia and not just Tasmania, you can finally put Tasmania on the map. What will the reaction of
Finally.
your what will the reaction of your close friends and family be like?
I honestly don't know. I feel like they'd be proud for me, but I don't know how they're going to react. Even when I do appearances in my community with my tiara and my sash, I get so many people looking at me. But then
Yeah,
that's anxious in itself, for especially for newbies. But it's awesome to be able to talk about it, and that's where the
yeah.
awareness comes from. And that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, I think that's a very Australian reaction because we don't like to stand out too much here in Australia. We've got tall poppy syndrome, but it does open up the conversation, and obviously you've got a lot of things that you are genuinely advocating for. So if a few people stare, I'd say that's a good thing,
Yeah.
not a bad thing. So it's an opportunity to begin the conversation. What are you? I mean, how are you feeling? Given that it's a month out, we've already discussed that you are way overly organized with your giant spreadsheet and your giant suitcase. So is everything sort of on the level now, and you're just waiting for the time to come up? Any last minute
Pretty much.
nerves, jitters? Yeah.
Well, pretty much. So I'm obsessed with this second world, pretty much. This whole idea of pageantry. It's all I think about, really. I'm dedicated. I'm too excited. I'm a little pocket rocket. So when I set a task on something, I'm like, oh, let's go do this, let's do that. I'm just way too excited. I think that's what it is. I actually don't have that much nerves this year. And I think
Yeah.
that's because I went last year and I've met all of the organizers and everyone's incredible. And not even that, the sponsors themselves,
Mm.
they're so kind. Like, I love creating content too. So working with brands that resonate with me, I just love everything to do with it. So I'm just excited.
Do you ever have any issues sleeping?
Sometimes, yes, but I love my sleep. As soon as I hit that pillow, I'm out of it. I'm dead to the world. But I don't sleep with any pillows too, so I have to like chuck them off. So,
Why you have no pillows?
well, no, you can see the pillows behind me,
Yeah.
but they're for decoration. I don't sleep with pillows.
Why? Any
I don't
particular
know.
reason?
I'm a tummy sleeper. I can't have anything on my neck. Fun fact, like all my bones crack, like my neck crack, and I think that's probably my main source of my issue there.
I could never believe that someone slept on their stomach until I was making fun of anyone who would sleep on their stomach, and then it turned out the person I was interviewing slept on their stomach.
Stomach, oh
But,
no.
how do you do? Because I was thinking, if you had a pillow, see, this is the thing: if you had a pillow and you were a stomach sleeper, you just suffocate yourself because your face would be in the pillow, and it'd be really bad for
No.
your neck. So how do you sleep on your stomach?
So I'm fully on my stomach, and then my arms are above my head, but then my head's turned to the side.
So you look like you've just collapsed full on onto your bed. Then you look like
Pretty
you've taken a
much.
dive, and and then you just don't move afterwards.
Yep. Yep.
Have you always been like this? You've never used pillows, or you just tried them once and you're not a fan, so we're going the stomach route? Like, how
I
did this
used to
happen?
sleep on a bunch of teddies growing up, but no, pretty much all my life I've liked to not sleep with a pillow. I like having them around me, but that's about it. But I also sleep talk, so that's a whole other issue with my sleeping.
So you talk into the mattress then, given that you're okay. What do you talk about when you're sleeping? I'm curious.
Apparently, it's a lot of like mumble jumble. So I actually got a sleep talking app. So when it detects sound, it will start recording. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen
And
those.
I done a compilation of it and I put it on my TikTok. I think it's on my personal TikTok, but I should put it on my Pageant one so now everyone listening can hear it. But sometimes it's a bit creepy because sometimes I sound like I'm actually talking to a ghost or something. It's weird. It's a bit scary.
I now feel sorry for whoever has to room with you at Galaxy.
I'm
If
sorry for whoever I do room with. They haven't announced the roommate list, and I'm so excited for it. But fair in advance. Yeah.
I could just imagine their first reaction would be like, hang on, is Annalise speaking? And then secondly, hang on, are you talking to me? And then like, oh no, who is she talking to? That would be actually quite creepy.
I remember I slept walk once. So, like, you know, when you're sleeping, but then you're like kind of semi awake when you wake up out of it and you click yourself out of it if you've ever
Yeah,
experienced that.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was sleepwalking. I remember standing in a doorway and I started saying spiders. And I just kept saying spiders, spiders, spiders. And my partner, he woke up and he was a bit freaked out. Like, what am I doing in the doorway just yelling spiders? So,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
you can't be yelling but that's
No.
that's like the worst word to be. Just imagine
I
if
know.
again, like if you end up over in Florida representing Australia and you are with young women from all over the world and they know you're from Australia and they all think that we have spiders everywhere.
Spiders.
You wake up in the middle of the night, stand in a doorway and start yelling in an Aussie accent, spiders, spiders, spiders. Everyone is just going to run away screaming.
They're going to freak out. They're going to freak out. And then I'm going to wake up from their screaming and wonder what the hell they're on about. And then I'll start running with them because I don't know what's going on.
But at least you would have had a good night's sleep. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is going to be interesting. So, if you see Annalise walking around yelling spiders, 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 she's just asleep. It's okay. Just ignore her. She's fine. This is going to be an interesting pageant. All right. Well, just before we get to the final 10 questions, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to?
Everybody. How can I even put that to a few people? From Shakai for organising everything. I don't think you give yourself enough credit, honestly. The organisation that you're running is giving so many people a platform, but not even just that, giving people confidence. Like, that's incredible. Like, you deserve so much more than you give yourself. Not even that, Kimbo. You behind the scenes making everything happen pretty much. And then the sponsors, without you guys, we wouldn't be able to be here really. And then my personal sponsors, so my friends and family, I wouldn't be here without you either. So massive shout out. Oh, and my dog, massive shout out to you, Apollo, because you have been my support animal during all of this. So thanks.
Okay. That was a comprehensive shout out. Let's go through the final 10 questions. So, number 1, what is your favorite word?
Food. Food.
This is not one of the questions, but what's your favorite food?
Okay, so favorite food, probably dim sims. I love dim sims. Fun fact, I know this is not the question, but I'm going to tell you anyway, but I hate vegetables. Apart from like potatoes and raw carrots and corn on the cob, and it has to be on the cob. I don't eat vegetables. I eat fruit, so I compensate. But anyway, that wasn't the question, but I'm telling you anyway.
I don't know where to begin with that answer. I was sure you were going to say only eat potatoes because in French fries form, because that's an issue in America. A lot of Americans don't eat any vegetables, but the number one vegetable eaten is potato, but it's only because it's in the form of French fries.
No, mashed potatoes, potato bake. Oh, I could go on.
And then there was a Galaxy Queen over in the UK, and she hates mashed potatoes, which I thought was just weird. How can you hate mashed potatoes? But then another one of them said she can't eat corn from a tin, so off the cob, because when she sees the kernels floating around, she thinks that they look like teeth.
I get her 100%.
So
teeth, probably not teeth, but actually, now
she
that
said
you
they
say
look,
that,
they remind her like someone who's lost their teeth, and they're just like floating around. And I thought,
you're not wrong. It kind of
who looks at corn kernels and then thinks, oh, they look like my teeth?
Wow, I never thought of that, but she's actually right. Oh, yeah.
And dim sims, of all the things, to be in a rural area in Tasmania, and the first food that you like is dim. Can you get dim sims? Have you ever had like I'm not gonna say a real dim sim, but like the Chinese restaurants we have in Sydney or Melbourne, they're amazing. Have you ever had those kind of dim sims, or are we talking about like frozen dim sims?
Frozen dim sims. I would love to try a real dim sim though. I'll have to go find one in Sydney. I'll find one. Don't worry.
No, when you're over here, let me know. I will send you some because I mean, obviously, I'm Chinese, so I know where all the good stuff is at. I will send you some, and I promise you there won't be any corn in it. Dim sims. Wow. Okay. All right. Was not expecting that. Back on track. Number 2. What is your least favorite word?
Negativity. Don't be negative. Even if it's about yourself or others, there's no need to be negative.
Number 3. In life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
Pageantry. Is that a very like typical answer? Pageantry. But if it's not pageantry, it's probably organization. I love being organized.
I was just sitting here praying, don't say Excel sheets, don't Excel. Don't
I was tempted, okay?
I don't think I've ever had anyone like, what excites you? Microsoft Excel. Okay. Okay, so that's what turns you on. Question 4, what turns you off?
Ooh, hard one. Vegetables. Back to the other question. Vegetables.
Annalise, you grew up on a farm.
I know. But
do I need to point out the irony to you?
I like fruit. Fruit come from farms too.
Okay, let's
argue.
I could, but
I probably won't eat your vegetables.
Dear me. Number 5, what sound or noise do you love?
Oh, pigs, like the little oink noise they make. I love that noise. I love pigs.
I think you're on some sort of streak here. I've asked these questions like 300 times. I think every single word that answer you've given is not one I've heard before. I might have had food before, but all the other, I've certainly never heard anyone talk about pigs as their favorite sound. All right, number 6, what sound or noise do you hate?
Chalkboard.
I've had that one
scratching of the chalkboard. Yep, can't do that.
Number 7, if you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I want to fly. I would like to fly because then if I can not pay to get on a plane and then come to Sydney for Galaxy, that'd be awesome. I could fly down the runway. I could fly to Hawaii. I'm set.
Yeah, and I'm not particularly a huge fan of the Aussie airline prices at the moment. So yeah, you'd save a mozzo in your bank bill as well.
Yeah.
Number 8, what job would you most like to attempt?
I would like what job I would like? Oh, that's hard. See, like, I'd love to be Taylor Swift, you know? I'd love to. I love all her songs. Yeah. I reckon maybe a celebrity just to see what it's like, you know? But if not, being a prime minister would be kind of cool as well. Really hard, but
Can you sing?
I actually grew up in a choir. Shout out to my singing teacher. Don't forget about you. I love singing. I don't know if I'm any good anymore, but I used to sing in carols and get little solos. I actually love it.
I'm going to think that you actually can sing then, which is good. If you want to be Taylor Swift, being
I
able
want
to
to be
sing
Taylor
might be
Swift.
important. Are you tall enough?
I'm 165 centimeters. I'm
Mm.
5'5", but not with heels. I will argue this to the day I finish pageants. I am taller with heels. Now I'm going to count that.
Yes, I hope you're taller in heels. If you're
Yep.
shorter in heels, something's gone terribly wrong.
In heels, yeah.
Number 9, what job would you definitely not like to attempt?
A bouncer or like security. I hate controversy. I don't think I would be that good being security.
I can see that. Okay, final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I want to see my dog. I had a dog growing up. His name was Tank. He was a little chihuahua. I want God to be there with my little chihuahua. And I want to see all the impact I've done with my galaxy platform. I want to see whose lives I've changed. So I want my dog, and I want to see what I've made a difference with.
Would you like to see that difference organized in a spreadsheet for yourself?
Oh, actually, yeah. So he could like bring me a computer screen or a tablet and have it all laid out nice. And if he can't do Excel, I will settle for PowerPoint. PowerPoint is also a good alternative.
I really hope there's not Microsoft in heaven, because if there's Microsoft in heaven, as far as I'm concerned, it ain't heaven. But look, anyway, let me just catch you up. So Nicole here has said, I sleep on my stomach as well.
See, it's not just me. Thank you, Nicole.
Galaxy Girls Unite. And Krista over here has said, great interview.
Bless. Thank you, Krista.
There you go. Well, Annalise, it's been a ride. Thank you so much for coming on.
No, thanks for having me.
It's been good fun. We've spoken about things that I've never thought about speaking about before, and I still don't understand why you don't eat vegetables and the corn thing. But look, whatever floats your boat, and I will have to get you some proper dim sums.
Dim sims, yes. And a little bit of chicken salt. I love chicken salt.
You don't put chicken salt
on
the dim sims. No.
Yes, you do.
No, Annalise, no. No, chips fine.
I will
not
create
on
a poll
the dim
on my
sims.
Instagram, and we're going to settle this debate. We have dim sims with chicken salt.
You don't need to create the poll. I'm telling you, as someone who's eaten Chinese food his entire life, no chicken salt on the dim. There might be some MSG in it already, but no salt. Don't you dare ruin the dim sum with salt.
I will agree to disagree.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for watching. I'll keep you on the line for just a second, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Sorority Access is now open, so if you'd like to join an amazing group of women and learn how to be the most powerful, confident, and impactful queen possible, head to thepageantsorority.com. I'll see you there, and see you in the next video.